Ever feel like you're stuck?
Yeah.
Like you're putting in the effort, but not really getting anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Well, today, we're going to dive deep into why that might be happening.
Okay.
We're exploring this whole idea of playing small,
Yeah.
what it is, and more importantly, how to break free.
Right.
I'm Alan, and with me is mindset expert Rebecca.
Hey, everyone.
So, playing small,
Mm-hmm.
what does that even mean?
Well, it's, like you were saying, when you feel stuck, those times when you're holding yourself back?
Yeah.
A lot of times we don't even realize we're doing it.
Right.
We set these realistic goals. We stay in our comfort zone. And basically we let fear make decisions for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like we're choosing the quote-unquote safe path, but what if that's actually the riskiest move?
Exactly.
Like the opposite of what we should be doing.
It might seem counterintuitive, but playing it safe can actually lead to, feeling more stuck and unfulfilled in the long run. Think about it. When you're constantly aiming for what's easy, what feels achievable right now, you're kind of putting a cap on your own potential.
Yeah, and it's almost like we're pre-rejecting ourselves before anyone else gets a chance to.
Exactly.
And I know I've definitely been guilty of that, especially with goals,
Oh, yeah. We've all been there.
for sure.
And that's where that first mindset shift comes in,
Nice
right?
thing.
So instead of setting those safe, realistic goals, what if you dared to dream bigger,
Oh, yeah.
really big?
So ditching the to-do list for the bucket list.
Yeah. Think of it as writing down a goal that feels almost out of reach right now. Something so audacious it makes you a little nervous. That feeling, that's how you know you're onto something.
Okay, I'm getting butterflies just thinking about it. But how do you move from that initial excitement to actually taking action?
Mm-hmm.
Because those big goals can feel pretty daunting.
That's the brilliance of this next step. So instead of getting overwhelmed by the enormity of the goal,
Right.
just ask yourself, what's one tiny thing I can do today to move just 1% closer to that goal?
I love that. It's like breaking down a marathon into manageable steps, right?
Exactly.
Instead of focusing on the finish line miles away.
Yeah.
Just focusing on one foot in front of the other.
It's shifting your mindset from, is this even possible, to what's my next move?
Right.
And that's how you build momentum and start to believe in the possibility of actually achieving it.
And this reminds me of something we've talked about before from intrinsic coaching Warren.
Yeah.
He often says, action creates clarity.
Mm-hmm.
And so often we're waiting to feel ready,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes just starting, even imperfectly, is the best way to figure things out. Which brings us to the next way we play small. And that's comfort zones. He calls them death traps.
Ooh, a little dramatic.
A little dramatic maybe, but I get the sentiment.
Yeah, he's not mincing words, that's for sure. But he has a point. Comfort zones can be so deceptive, right?
Yeah.
Because they feel safe and familiar, but they can also prevent us from experiencing, true growth and fulfillment.
How do you know when you're stuck in a comfort zone? Because it's not always obvious, right?
Right.
Especially when things feel, comfortable.
It's tricky because it might feel fine on the surface, but underneath there's often this nagging sense of discontent.
Okay.
Maybe you find yourself, daydreaming about a different life, a different job.
Right.
Deep down, there's more out there,
Yeah.
but you're hesitant to actually reach for it.
It's that feeling of going through the motions but not really feeling alive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's when, it's time to shake things up.
Okay. So what's the advice here? How do we do that?
So Warren's advice: identify one thing that you've been avoiding because it feels too difficult or uncomfortable or scary.
Mm-hmm.
And then go do it today.
Just dive right in. No overthinking, no planning, just action.
Well, a little planning never hurts. But the key is to break through that initial resistance and take that first step. Okay.
It's about proving to yourself you're capable of more than you think.
What are some examples of things people might be avoiding? Because I'm guessing it's not all about jumping out of airplanes, right?
Definitely not. It could be anything that pushes you beyond your usual limits.
Okay.
So maybe having a difficult conversation you've been putting off, or finally starting that creative project you've been dreaming about, or applying for that job that feels a little out of reach.
So it's about facing those fears head on instead of letting them call the shots.
Exactly. Because growth doesn't happen in your comfort zone. It happens when you challenge yourself, embrace the unknown,
Right.
and allow yourself to learn and evolve through the process.
Okay. I'm feeling inspired, but I think we've all had those moments where we let fear hold us back.
Right.
Whether it's in our careers, relationships, or even just personal growth.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's easier to just play it safe than to go after what we really want.
Absolutely. And it manifests in so many different areas of our lives, like in relationships.
Right. It might look like not speaking up for your needs or staying in unhealthy situations because you're afraid of being alone.
Or in our creative pursuits,
Mm-hmm.
you know, not sharing our work, not trying new things because we're worried about judgment or failing publicly.
It's like we dim our own light to fit in instead of letting it shine,
Yeah,
and share our unique gifts with the world.
that's a great point. And it's so easy to do, especially with all the pressure to conform and compare ourselves to others these days.
Mhm.
But I think we have to play small in our careers too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Think about all the people who stay in jobs they hate.
Yeah.
Because it feels safe, even though it's slowly draining their energy, their enthusiasm.
It's like we're trading our passion and purpose for a sense of security, which can be kind of dangerous, right?
It's a form of self-sabotage, really,
Yeah.
denying ourselves the opportunity to grow and learn and create a career that we genuinely love. And speaking of self-sabotage, there's another big one that keeps us playing small, and that is perfectionism.
Oh, I know that one way too well.
Why?
How many times have I put something off because it wasn't perfect enough?
Yeah.
Countless. But, intrinsic coach Warren,
Yeah.
he actually encourages us to fail fast, fail often,
Interesting.
which is the opposite of what most of us are taught.
It goes against everything we've been conditioned to believe.
Right.
We're taught to avoid mistakes, to strive for perfection, to always get it right.
Right.
But the problem is, it keeps us stuck in a cycle of procrastination and self-doubt.
Because we're so afraid of messing up, we end up not doing anything at all.
Exactly. We tell ourselves we'll start when we're ready,
Right.
but ready never actually comes. We wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect set of skills.
Yeah.
But in reality, perfection is an illusion. It's a myth that keeps us from actually taking action and making progress.
So how do we break free from that perfectionism trap? Because that one's tough.
It is tough.
Yeah.
The key is to kind of reframe our relationship with failure.
Okay.
So instead of seeing it as like a sign of weakness or incompetence,
Right.
what if we saw it as a necessary part of the learning process?
Easier said than done.
Oh, it definitely takes practice.
For sure.
So Warren suggests choosing something you've been putting off
Okay.
because you're afraid to mess it up,
Mhm.
and then commit to doing it badly.
Doing it badly. That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
But hear me out.
Okay.
The point is to just take the pressure off.
Okay.
You're not striving for some unattainable, perfection. You're simply focusing on taking action.
So instead of waiting to write the perfect blog post, just write something,
Exactly.
even if it needs a lot of editing later.
Exactly. Or instead of waiting to have the perfect pitch before you approach clients, just start reaching out
Mm-hmm.
and see what happens. You'll learn more from those real-world experiences than you ever will from overthinking and over-preparing.
It's about shifting the focus from the outcome to the process.
Right.
Understanding that mistakes are inevitable, but they're also valuable.
Exactly.
Like they're learning opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's in those messy, imperfect moments that we often discover our greatest strengths and insights.
Yeah. And it's about embracing the journey,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that it won't always be smooth sailing. There will be setbacks, there will be challenges, but those are the moments that shape us.
Yeah, and this whole idea of embracing imperfection is really resonating with me.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like giving ourselves permission to be human,
Right.
to learn and grow without the pressure of having to be perfect all the time.
It's a huge relief, isn't it? Like it frees up so much mental energy and allows us to actually focus on what matters.
Yeah.
Taking action, making progress, becoming the best version of ourselves.
Oh, we've talked about the how of playing small, but what about the why? Why do we do this to ourselves?
Right.
What's at the root of it? That's a great question. I think it boils down to a few things. One is, quite simply, fear.
Yeah.
Fear of failure, rejection, judgment, even fear of the unknown.
Fear is such a powerful force,
Yeah.
and it can feel almost paralyzing sometimes.
Absolutely. And we let it, dictate our choices, keep us stuck, prevent us from pursuing those dreams.
So how do we overcome that? It's easy to say don't be afraid, but it's a lot harder to put that into practice.
It's a process, and it's not necessarily about eliminating fear altogether.
Right.
Fear is a natural human emotion. It can be helpful, right? It's about learning to recognize it, acknowledge it, and then make a conscious choice to act in spite of it.
So facing it head on instead of letting it control us.
Exactly. And it's about shifting our focus from what if I fail to what if I succeed.
Mm-hmm.
It's about Believing in ourselves, trusting our abilities, and having the courage to take that first step, even if it feels scary.
I think a big part of overcoming that fear is also believing in ourselves.
Right.
So often, we play small because we don't think we're good enough, or smart enough, or talented enough. We have these limiting beliefs that kind of hold us back.
Absolutely. Limiting beliefs are those negative thoughts and stories we tell ourselves
Yeah.
that basically undermine our confidence and prevent us from reaching our full potential.
Where do those limiting beliefs come from?
Well, they're often rooted in, past experiences, societal conditioning, messages we received growing up.
Right.
They can be so ingrained in our thinking that we don't even realize they're there.
So how do we identify and challenge those limiting beliefs?
Awareness is the first step.
Okay.
Start paying attention to your self-talk. Like, what are those negative thoughts that keep popping up? What are those stories you're telling yourself about who you are and what you're capable of?
Okay, so let's say I've identified a limiting belief. What's next?
You challenge it. Ask yourself, is this belief really true? Is there evidence to support it? And a lot of times you'll find that those limiting beliefs are just based on fear or insecurity rather than facts.
Okay, so it's about replacing those negative thoughts with more positive and empowering ones.
Exactly. And affirmations can be really powerful for this. Start repeating positive statements to yourself, even if you don't fully believe them at first.
Like, I am capable, I am worthy, I am deserving of success.
Exactly. The more you repeat them, the more you start to believe them, and the more they'll actually shape your reality.
So it's almost like we're rewiring our brains for the better, right?
Yeah.
Like replacing those old patterns with new, more positive ones.
Exactly. You're creating new neural pathways.
Yeah.
Strengthening those connections that support your growth. And that brings us to the importance of mindset,
Right.
which is like a recurring theme here.
Yeah, it's about recognizing that our thoughts have a powerful impact on our actions and our results.
Absolutely.
Right.
Our mindset is the foundation for everything we do.
Yeah.
If we believe we're not good enough, we'll act accordingly. But if we believe we're capable and deserving, well then, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities.
It's all about those mindset shifts that we talk about a lot.
Yeah.
Those subtle but powerful changes in how we think about ourselves and the world.
They're game changers. Mindset shifts are all about reframing our perspective, looking at things from a new angle, challenging those default patterns that keep us stuck.
It's not just about changing what we think about, it's about changing the way we think.
Exactly. It's about becoming aware of those unconscious biases and limiting beliefs that shape our perception.
Yeah.
It's about questioning our assumptions and opening ourselves up to new possibilities.
What are some examples of those mindset shifts that can help us, stop playing small?
Well, one powerful shift is moving from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset.
Okay, what's the difference?
So a scarcity mindset is based on this belief that there's just not enough to go around.
Right.
Resources are limited and we have to compete for our share. And this can lead to fear, anxiety, jealousy.
Yeah, like you're constantly on edge, worried about missing out.
An abundance mindset, on the other hand, is based on the belief that there's plenty to go around.
Okay.
The universe is inherently abundant and we can all thrive and succeed. It's about seeing opportunities instead of obstacles.
That's a much more empowering way to look at things.
It is. An abundance mindset allows us to collaborate instead of compete and celebrate the success of others instead of feeling threatened by them.
Yeah.
It's about shifting from a fear-based mindset to a mindset of trust and possibility.
Trust and possibility. I like that. What are some other mindset shifts that can make a difference?
Another powerful one is moving from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset.
Okay.
A fixed mindset is that belief that our abilities are, set in stone.
Like you either have it or you don't.
Exactly. And this mindset leads to a fear of failure.
Right.
A reluctance to try new things and a tendency to give up easily when things get tough.
Which is definitely a recipe for playing small.
Yeah. A growth mindset, on the other hand, is based on the belief that our abilities can be developed through hard work, learning, perseverance.
So it's about believing in our capacity to grow, no matter where we're starting from.
Exactly. A growth mindset allows us to embrace challenges, learn from mistakes, and see failure as an opportunity for growth. It empowers us to step outside those comfort zones, pursue our passions, and develop our talents to their fullest potential.
This reminds me of a quote I heard recently. The only limit to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today.
Oh, I love that.
It's about recognizing that we have the power to create the future that we want. but we have to let go of those limiting beliefs that are holding us back.
I love that quote. It's a powerful reminder that our thoughts create our reality. If we want to see different results, we have to start by changing the way we think.
So if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like you're playing small, start by examining your thoughts. What are
Yeah.
the stories you're telling yourself? What are the beliefs that are holding you back?
Yep.
Once you identify those patterns, you can start to challenge them and replace them with more positive, more empowering ones.
And don't be afraid to ask for support. Talk to a friend, a mentor, a therapist.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need a little help to see our own blind spots and break free from those patterns.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I feel like we've only just scratched the surface, though.
I agree. There's so much more we could explore when it comes to mindset, but hopefully this has given everyone a good starting point.
I think so much of what we talked about today just boils down to, recognizing those moments when we're playing small
Yeah.
and then making a conscious choice to step into our full potential.
It's about reclaiming our power.
Yeah.
Trusting ourselves, taking those brave steps forward even when we don't have all the answers.
And remember, it's not about being perfect or having it all figured out.
Right.
It's about progress, not perfection. Taking that first step and then the next and then the next,
Yeah.
and trusting that the path will unfold as we go.
It's about embracing the journey, with all its twists and turns, knowing that those challenges are ultimately what shape us.
This has been such a thought-provoking conversation, Rebecca. I think we've all had those moments where we've played small,
Yeah.
myself included. But these insights have given me a whole new perspective
Yeah.
on how to break free from those patterns.
Me too. It's a good reminder that we all have that potential for greatness within us.
And it's up to us to step into that potential.
Exactly.
So for anyone listening who's ready to, stop playing small, what's one piece of advice you would give them?
Start by identifying one area of your life where you're holding back.
Okay.
Could be your career, relationships, creativity, personal growth. Anywhere you feel that nagging sense of, I could be doing more,
Right.
then ask yourself, what's one small step I can take today to move toward what I really want?
I love that. One small step.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that even the biggest journeys start with a single step.
Right.
And even the smallest actions can create a ripple effect
Mm-hmm.
that leads to incredible transformations.
It's about trusting that even if we don't have all the answers, we have everything we need within us
Right.
to start creating that life.
This has been such an inspiring conversation. Thank you for sharing your insights today, Rebecca.
My pleasure, Ellen.
And for our listeners, if you're looking for more guidance on how to, beat stress, find balance, and create a life that truly lights you up, be sure to check out Intrinsic Coachy Warren's newsletter at mindsetrebuild.substack.com.
Great resource.
He's got a wealth of wisdom to share.
Mhm.
Until next time, keep diving deep.